Hey Goblin, you've been really practicing those war drums.
I'll bring the generic Goblin noise!
Hey gang, using the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, will get you 10% off any order over $10 at Flipside Gaming. It'll also get you 10% off any orders of singles at Multizone. And it'll get you 10% off most products at Original Magic Art, with the exceptions of some paintings. If these fine sites don't have what you're looking for, you can also consider using my affiliate link when ordering from TCG Player. And if you'd like to join the Generic Goblin Gang to support this channel, there's a link to my Patreon in the description below. Hey gang, looking to get your hands on a free box of Theros Beyond Death? Well, look no further. Flipside Gaming will be giving one away between December 12th and January 27th. You can enter by using my promo code MTGMudsta on an order of $10 or more, or by sending a self-addressed, stamped envelope or postcard to them. It's one entry per person, and for more information, follow the link below. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's installment was filmed by Trevor and is based in New Jersey. We have Mike playing his freaky Pharika deck, keeping an overgrown tomb, woodland cemetery, forest, conduit of ruin, pernicious deed, Kadama's reach, and heroic intervention. Harry has got his Sevinne deck, keeping a monastery mentor, snow-covered plains, chain reaction, is it signet, think twice, snow-covered mountain, and faithless looting. Ryan is playing his Sisay deck, keeping Snow-Covered Island, a Frontier Bivouac, Exotic Orchard, Skyshroud Claim, Joyra Weatherlight Captain, Saheeli Sublime Artificer, and Liliana Dreadhorde General. Trevor is rocking the Elf-tastic Freyalise, keeping a Nissa Who Shakes the World, Sylvan Library, Elvish Mystic, Pier's Whim, Wirewood Lodge, and a Forest. Trevor wins the die roll and starts us off. Trevor plays a Forest and casts Elvish Mystic. Ryan plays a tapped Frontier Bivouac, passing. Mike plays a tapped Overgrown Tomb. Harry plays a Snow-Covered Mountain, and he casts Faithless Looting, drawing 2 and discarding 2. Trevor plays another Forest, and pays for Green Sun Zenith where X is 2. He goes and grabs Priest of Titania, putting it to the field and shuffling the Zenith into his library. Ryan plays an Exotic Orchard, and passes. Mike plays his Woodland Cemetery, which comes in untapped, and passes as well. Harry plays a Snow-Covered Plains, and pays 2 for an Is It Signet. Trevor plays his Wirewood Lodge, and pays 2 mana for a Fauna Shaman. He then taps the Priest for 3, and untaps it with the Lodge, tapping it again, and now he's up to 6 mana. He plays out a Sylvan Library, and then a Pier's Whim. He has himself be a friend, and everyone else a foe. This has Harry losing his Signet as a result, while Trevor goes to find a land, and he passes while he searches. Ryan plays a Snow-Covered Island, and he drops Riki the History of Kamigawa, while Trevor settles on putting to field a tapped Gaia's Cradle. Mike plays a Forest, and casts Kadama's Reach, passing while he searches. Harry plays a tapped Mystic Monastery for his turn, and passes. Trevor uses his library to draw 2 extra cards, and takes the 8 to keep them all. He taps his Cradle, and then his Priest for 6 green mana, and brings in Freyalise. He upticks her to make an Elf token, and then plays a Nykthos as his land drop. Trevor then pays 2 to activate it, and he makes 5 green this time, which lets him play out Nissa Who Shakes the World. He upticks her once she's on the field, and gives a Forest 3+1/+1 counters, Haste, and Vigilance. He then cycles a Slippery Karst to draw a card, and he goes to combat. He hits Ryan for 3 with his Vigilante Forest, and passes turn. Ryan plays a City of Brass, and loses 1 life to cast a Joyra Weatherlight Captain. This lets him draw a card from Riki, and Ryan passes. Mike plays a Temple of Malady, scrying 1 and leaving the card on top. He then pays 4 for a Desecration Demon, and passes. Harry draws, and pays 1 red for a Blasphemous Act. Responding to it, Trevor activates Fauna Shaman, pitching Rishkar to go and find a creature. He finds a Gravesifter, and puts it to hand. The board then gets wiped, and Trevor even loses a land as a result. Harry then plays out a Compulsion, and he passes turn. On his draw step, Trevor activates his library once more, but doesn't keep any extras. He plays a Forest, and upticks Freyalise to make an Elf Druid token, and floats 2 green before upticking Nissa to untap the tapped forest. He then makes 4 more mana to help pay for Gravesifter, who comes in and forces everyone to name a creature type. Trevor names elves, Ryan names humans, Mike names demon, and Harry names Brushwag like the gentleman he is. Trevor then makes 6 mana thanks to Nykthos and his devotion, and he plays the Mystic, the Fauna Shaman, and Rishkar. With Rishkar entering, he puts the counters onto Rishkar and the Fauna Shaman and passes to Ryan. Ryan loses another 1 life to help cast a Skyshroud Claim, going to grab 2 forest cards once the spell resolves. He grabs an Overgrown Tomb and Scattered Groves, putting to the field tapped and passing. Mike plays a Swamp, and he casts Pernicious Deed. He puts 3 into the X and hits a lot of Trevor's board, with Harry also losing his Compulsion. Harry plays a Path of Ancestry, which comes in tapped, and then casts a Worn Power Stone, which also comes in tapped, before passing to Trevor. Trevor plays a Forest and floats 2, untapping the Forest with Nissa by animating it and giving it 3+1/+1 counters. He recasts Priest of Titania, and then downticks Freyalise for her ultimate to draw 2 cards. Going to combat, the Gravesifter goes after Mike and hits him, while the Elemental Land goes at Harry for 3. Ryan taps out on his turn, losing another life to cast to deploy the Gatewatch. He looks at his top 7, and plays out a Kasmina and Angrath the Flamechained. Ryan then downticks Kasmina, drawing a card, and then discarding Joyra, and he makes a 2/2 wizard token, which he actually has this time sadly. Ryan then downticks Angrath to steal Trevor's animated land, and he heads to combat. He swings it at Nissa, but Trevor blocks with the Priest. In his post-combat main phase, Ryan then plays out Oath of Nissa, looking at his top 3 and putting to hand a Nomad Outpost, which he then plays. He then passes, sacrificing Trevor's land at the end of turn thanks to Angrath's ability. Mike plays a Forest and casts Obnixilis Unshackled, passing. Harry brings in his commander, Sevinne, scrying 1 from using mana from the Path of Ancestry. He bottoms that card and passes to Trevor. Trevor draws for turn and upticks Freyalise to make an elf token, and he then casts an Elvish Promenade, making a 2nd elf. He says he'll sacrifice the Elf Warrior to Obnixilis' trigger when he uses Nissa's ultimate to get an emblem that makes his lands indestructible and go and find every forest he has in his library. First though, he plays a Yavimaya Hollow, and then loses 10 life from the other half of Obnixilis' trigger as he goes to find his lands. Ryan plays a tap Mystic Sanctuary, and then drops Liliana Dreadhorde General. First he upticks Angrath, dealing 2 to each opponent, and forcing them to discard a card. He then downticks Liliana, forcing the table to sacrifice 2 creatures, which at this point with the amount of setbacks he has, and a pending call coming soon, forces Harry to call it quits. With Ryan's wizard token dying, he gets to draw a card from Liliana the Dreadhorde General. Ryan then downticks Kasmina again, drawing a card, discarding a card, and making another 2/2 wizard. Mike plays a Swamp and recasts Desecration Demon. Trevor draws with a ton of lands for turn, and he plays a Gingerbread Cabin, making a sweet food token. He upticks Freyalise to make another elf token, and passes. Ryan plays Garruk Wildspeaker in his main phase, and then upticks Angrath to make his opponents take 2 and discard a card. He then upticks Garruk to untap 2 lands, and Ryan then loses 1 to help cast Saheeli. He then casts Narset, Parter of Veils, getting to make a servo token thanks to Saheeli. Moving to combat, the wizard token goes at Freyalise. Trevor blocks the Zelf token and regenerates it with the Hollow. Ryan's post-combat main phase has him bringing back out a zombie token by plussing Liliana. And then downticks Narset. He reveals Legacy Weapon as he puts it to hand, and with nothing else, passes. Mike casts a Whip of Erebos during his main phase and heads to combat. Not wanting to take a chance, Ryan sacrifices the servo to the demon's trigger, and he draws a card from Liliana as Mike puts a +1/+1 counter onto the demon and taps it. With not much else to do, Mike then passes. Trevor draws for turn and upticks Freyalise to make another token. He then plays out his second Nissa, Nissa Vital Force, and downticks her to return the Gravesifter to his hand. Trevor then recasts the Gravesifter and names elves that comes in, while Ryan names humans, and Mike names Sad. He then replays his Elvish Mystic, Fauna Shaman, and makes a bunch of mana with Nixos and Cradle. This in turn lets him play Rishkar, putting a counter on Rishkar and the Fauna Shaman as he enters, and then a Priest of Titania. He was also able to return the Elvish Promenade thanks to the Gravesifter, which he casts for 6 Elf Warrior tokens, and Trevor then passes. Ryan downticks Narset looking at his top 4. He reveals a Mana Geode, putting it to hand. Ryan then plays a Flux Channeler, which seems good with how many walkers he has out on the field. We then see the earlier revealed Mana Geode, triggering the Flux Channeler to proliferate Ryan's walkers, and also gain him another Servo token from Saheeli. He then scries 1 as it enters, and bottoms that card. Ryan then loses another life, tapping a City of Brass to put on Arena Rector. He then downticks Saheeli to have his Mana Geode become a copy of the Rector. Ryan then downticks Liliana to force the table to sacrifice 2 creatures, which he does by sacrificing his 2 copies of the Rector and exiling both as they die. This allows him to go and find 2 walkers, putting to field a Nicol Bolas Dragon God and Sarkhan the Masterless. Ryan then downticks Angrith to attempt to steal the Gravesifter, which Trevor protects by casting Heroic Intervention. Ryan then moves to Plan B, upticking Sarkhan, and transforms all of his walkers into flying dragons. He then downticks Garruk to give his board overrun, and then downticks Nicol Bolas to use Garruk's overrun ability as well. Heading to combat, 3 walkers go at Trevor in the air to take him out, while the remaining walkers and creatures head at Mike to finish the game. Game review time. So it's unfortunate that Harry couldn't finish the game, but let's face it, he seems super far behind, and the cards that he had in hand really weren't going to impact the board. All of his board wipes were damage based and would have dealt with Trevor's creatures, but not Ryan's Planeswalkers. In a similar fashion, Mike had some decent removal, but again, Pernicious Deed doesn't touch walkers, which meant that Ryan really didn't lose anything when it went off. I think you do have to give it up to how resilient Freyalise is, and Trevor's done a fantastic job of building the deck. He suffered a bunch of board wipes, not to mention land losses from the board wipes when the lands were animated, which didn't really stop him from getting back his creatures and often refilling his board the turn after. I know in some cases people aren't huge on Planeswalkers, but I have to give it up to Ryan for this win. It was not the traditional way that I've seen it happen on the channel, that being with Trevor typically playing a Traxa deck and basically locking the board out. I loved the fact that Sarkhan was able to turn his Planeswalkers into creatures and win through traditional combat damage, which was a great twist on it. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/mtgmudsta. And lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/mtgmudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.